Okay, in this video I will try to give you an introduction to logistics and logistic efficiency that we also talked about last time. And logistic efficiency was comparing how efficient the logistic system you want, but also the logistic cost that would follow. Because of course everything is related to how much money you eventually end up spending. Anyway, logistic, the definition is a holistic system of management used to ensure the necessary planning, implementation, and monitoring of efficient flow of materials all the way from supply of raw materials to final users, as well as disposal and recycling of obsolete products, all with a view to satisfying the needs of customers. Logistic and competitive parameter. You can say that if you as a company are able to get your products from the production company to the retail in a faster speed, but also a more secure way than your competitors, you will definitely, and also a lower rates or cheaper functioning logistics system, you will be able to compete with your customers, and it will be a competitive parameter that you can use. Price equals to cost control, effectiveness in linked companies, speedy production, delivery, quality of supply chain activities. Each part of the supply chain deliver right volume, quality, and timely deliver. So, of course, you want it at the right price, but you also want the right quantity, the right delivery, and also delivered at the right time. If we look at the overall supply market, production company, and sales market, we can see that the company, we can see here with the production company, and we can see the supply market, and we can see the sales market. So if we look at what we're actually going to try to do, there we have here the production company. And production company, of course, deals with purchasing control, production control, and distribution control. So stock of raw material, that's the materials in storage that the production company needs in order to keep on running a production. That can, for example, be for a candy company, a candy production. It can be sugar, it could be syrup, it could be other things in relation to that. Then we have the production. The production and production control. Companies want to produce the right amount at the right time for the right price. Then after production, we take it to start of finished products. And then the start of finished products, we take that to the middleman. And the middleman then to the consumer, which is in the sales market. The middleman can typically, in the Danish companies, to be companies like the retail, like Føtex, like Netto, like Kvickly, like Fakta, and then to the consumer. And then from the consumer, we see the waste going, and the waste that could, for example, be if you had bought a bottle of beer. A bottle of beer is then collected, and then it's sorted for dansk returpant, and then it's recycled. A bottle for beers are typically used between 27 and 30 times per bottle. So that gives a good reuse of this product. And then the ones that won't be able to be reused will be disposed. Then we go back to the supplier. If we see the supplier will then provide the new bottles for example, Carlsberg, so that they can restock it with new beer in production, and then we can see the whole system going over again. This will, of course, be something that can actually help companies in a competitive way. The concept of logistic and logistic efficiency, we see suppliers of raw materials, supply of component, producers finished goods, wholesale, retail, consumers. There's a lot of layers in this, but of course it's necessary that companies, both in retail but also wholesale but also in production, they know exactly what their role is. So they know, okay, who do we need to call if we need to refill our storage? Who do we need to call if with a component's missing, etc. So you can look at it in a way as a spider web, but it's not necessarily something that you can't control. It just requires good planning and good understanding of each one has its role. Which products should the company produce itself? Which products should the company produce from its suppliers? And how close the company wants to be linked to its suppliers? These are some of the questions that we need to answer when we talk about logistics. This can of course be a good idea if you're secure in your relationship with your supplier, but what if the case was that the supplier went out of business? What would you do? Or what if the supplier suddenly raised the prices to a tremendous amount that you wouldn't be able to follow? What would you do then? What about a situation where you actually know that a supplier can do a good job, but you can do it even better? Will you keep the supplier and do that in order to actually keep a good relationship with the supplier for future business, or will you try to produce your own product? That is an example you see many times in Danish retail, because many Danish retail, for example, Føtex, but also Rema, has focused a lot on production of their own labels. So for example, Vores or Rema 1000 mærket, that's examples of companies where typically you would buy and produce, buy from suppliers other companies' products, but now you start producing it yourself. Which products should the company purchase from its suppliers? There are also products that has a history, has a quality that makes it difficult to actually make this shift towards your own brand. How close do the company want to be linked to its supplier? Also, production, also really a dilemma. Production strategy, how to coordinate the production resources, how to organize the production processes. This is also something we're going to talk about when we talk about capacity management, because capacity management is really about, okay, you have these machines, but how much do you actually produce? Do you produce the product that gives you the best return on investment, or do you produce the product that actually gives you the best contribution margin? That can be a dilemma. That's also a dilemma that we're going to work on in business economics here in level A, because it might not always be the best idea to produce the most expensive product. Maybe more focused on, okay, how much can we sell of the cheapest product with the best contribution margin, and then start focusing on the most expensive product afterwards. But that's a whole other discussion, which we're going to talk about later. How to organize the production processes. Again, this is very much related to the previous. It's related to, should we start producing product A, B, or C? Here we're also going to present the ABC analysis, which has the 80-20 rule. 80-20 rule relate to the fact that 20% of the goods typically provide 80% of the contribution margin. Therefore, these 20% of the products should be prioritized. But then the 80% of the products which sell around 20% of the contribution margin is still important, because you want to give product, you want to show a diversity in your products. You want to have a large portfolio of products. Yes, distribution strategy. Which distribution channels should you use? Relation to other strategies of the company, that is cost leader or differentiation. Competitive strategies should also be related to this. Concept of logistic and logistic efficiency. If we have stock there, we have sales, we have production, we have purchasing, we have finance. And these all relate to the importance and how everything is connected, as in previous slide where we saw the spider web. Everything is connected, and the delivery speed is of course important, varieties is of course important, the delivery speed is of course important, and purchasing quality is important, quantity is important. So all of these are connected. This slide will focus a lot on the organization and the infrastructure, firm infrastructure, which you also see in the Michael Porter's value chain, where it's one of the supporting activities. And you see here in the top, managing director, then we see a department for logistic, production, sales, and finance. Then we see purchasing, storage, production planning, and distribution. The idea with this is, if you centralize it towards a central part of the organization, the logistic department, it often can be easier to know, okay, who's responsible if we don't have that good on storage, who will be able to solve the problem, how fast will we be able to solve it. Main advantage, clear overall view of the logistic activities. Disadvantage, conflict between managers of different parts. If we have 4 managers here, they will all try to battle each other. They all try to gain momentum. They all try to be the most important part, and also many of these managers will eventually want to follow the managing director when the spot becomes open. So therefore, you see some competitiveness. Competitiveness is a good thing, but it can also be challenging. If we have decentralizing of logistics, we see here suddenly we don't have a part for logistics here, but we see that sales has to do with distribution, production has to do with production planning, and purchasing has to do with the storage and purchasing. There we can see the main advantage, high degree of flexibility, because there are more people responsible. Disadvantage, difficult to ensure all-round approach.